Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. If you're here for the first time, well, I hope you're going to enjoy it, and if you're looking to learn more about abstract painting and develop your skills, you're in the right place. And if you're here as one of my subscribers, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm now over 6,000 and I'm really happy about that. So the next goal is 10,000, which would be fantastic because I love to share what I love about art and to help you, gain confidence, gain the skills to paint pictures that you really love. So what is today going to bring? Well, last week I did a very simple painting showing you how to do composition and how that works in a very simple form with your painting so you can apply it to what you do. This week I'm going to kind of take it a little bit further. We're going to do a little bit more free drawing and see where that takes us with our composition, because I think the more that we do this, the more that we practice, the more familiar it becomes, and then it's just natural. You can just naturally do it without even thinking about it. So we're going to go through the process again, but in a slightly different way, a little bit more intricate to give you some more ideas of how you can apply it. So let's dive in and get started. Okay, so I'm working on the same size paper as I did for the last one, because I think it would be nice to kind of build up a series of paintings. So this is really the second one. And if you remember from last week, I covered everything in black first. Now, it's an unusual way of starting, but again, it's just exploring possibilities. So I've done the same with this, but I've covered it in white. And I've just randomly put some masking tape down just to leave some of the black spaces. Don't know quite how that's going to look once we've taken it off, but that was the feeling. So let me just show you really a really nice way to get some texture when you do this. So the whole thing was black, put some of the white on, just kind of rubbed it in, and then I've got a kitchen roll, take some of it off, and you've got some nice kind of things going on with the texture. You can also sort of dab it out, and again you can scrape into it and get some of the lines from the black. So it's a really nice way to start and get into the zone. I didn't want to go through all this again because we did it in the last video, but for those of you who didn't see that, it's a very, very simple way of doing it. Paint it black, go over it in white, draw into it, dab into it, do whatever you like to get some of this nice texture. So, so you can really see it. For the drawing, I'm going to use a red crayon. This is a Stabilo crayon. It's also water soluble, so I can always add some water to it to get some texture. So, when I start free drawing, I'm just using, my arm. I'm not using my fingers like this. This is very tight. So we want to keep it loose. So you feel as if your whole body is moving, and you kind of really kind of connect and get into your feeling of creativity. So I'm just going to really feel how this is taking me. I've just randomly put this on, so it will be what it will be when I take it off. So I'm just kind of doing some random shapes, see what might occur. Nothing specific, just to kind of start me off, give me an idea where I might begin. Okay, I mean, literally, that's it. And I love drawing on it anyway, because it gets us going. So my colour palette, I want to stay similar colours to the one that we did last week. So it's got some nice continuity. So I'm going to use, put my palette out here. I've got a wet palette. This is a wet palette with a cloth underneath that's wet. So I've got obviously white and black. I've got some cerulean blue, some primary blue, teal, orange, ochre. I've also got some lilac and yellow. When you mix lilac and yellow together, you can get some really lovely grey tones. So I thought I'll have a little play with that. And then obviously we want to think about our composition. So if you remember from last week, we divide the painting into thirds. So if I was to come down here, come across, our thirds are going to be where those lines cross. So roughly here. You can just see, I'm just going to do it in red because you can see it probably. So if we think about those as our focal points, so when we're starting, even with the free drawing, we've got a feel of where we can make those differences on those areas for it to pop out. That's the idea, to keep us interested. If our focal point was all over the place down here, we'd go out of the painting. We don't want to do that. We want to have a journey within the painting to make it interesting, make it powerful, keep somebody's attention in it, and find our differences. So those are my points. So even though I've done this randomly, it's already come on to a focal point down here. So we want where the focal points are, we want something interesting going on. The other areas are calmer areas. So when you're looking at it, you've got something interesting around the focal, around the point that you're looking at. And then you've got a bit of a space, you've got another focal point, a space. Can you see where I'm going to with this for you to understand? So even though, you know, we're just going to do it freely to start with, if we're conscious of those areas, then we are on the right track. So let's go forward and see what's going to happen. What I would like to do now, this is dried. I'm going to take my masking tape off if I can. And then you'll see the reveal of the black behind, which is going to be interesting as I start painting. So there's kind of these areas here, which is great, of where the these areas are great for where I've actually put the masking tape. You can see already I've got something happening. I've got a little piece here. And, you know, when you're doing your backgrounds, if you do this, it's always a surprise. And it kind of gives you interesting prompts when you're starting your painting. You know, two of the biggest questions that I'm always asked is, number one, how do you start a painting? And number two, what do you do with the composition? So hopefully we're covering both areas in this painting. So there's obviously a lot of interest here around this focal point, and I'm going to do some things with this, I feel. Your eye will go up here. So I need something to come over here to balance everything. So even though I've done this free drawing, which is here, I'm going to fill this in with I feel like I'd like to do this kind of grey, experiment with this a yellow and the violet, mix that, put some kind of grey in here, and with a little bit of blue. So we're going to have a play around both with the design and with the colour. So let's mix a little bit of this together and see where we go with it. I'm going to put a little bit of blue in as well, just to harmonise it a little. and I'm going to put a bit of white in. So I've got a really nice, look at this colour now, really kind of nice grey happening. Now I can do this in all ways. I could do it with a sponge, you know, I can do it with a brush. I don't want it too heavy at the moment, quite light, so I might kind of take some of it off as I go, which I can do, you know, quite easily. I can do it with some tissue paper like I did last week. Take some of it off as I go before it dries, so I'm getting some nice textures. So I'm going to carry on with this a little, add a little bit more white to it, kind of like this colour. I'm coming within more or less the lines that I've drawn. I want to just keep it really loose and easy while we get this first coat in. Put a little bit more blue in this here. See, it's not precise at all, it's just adding some nice colour, nice contrasting, you know, blues and the purple and the grey. That's a little bit of green in it. So I've got a nice first covering to this before I add the rest. I'm going to continue with this colour a little because we need to kind of balance everything up, don't we? So we need a little bit of this colour, maybe down here. Just for balance sake. And maybe a little bit over here, a little bit over here. Let's put some on this, this focal point here. So we're getting a little bit of balance happening. So maybe that's kind of like our first starting point to our drawing. We're filling in our drawing that you might have done. Again, it's not complicated, it's just starting it off, so you've got a place to develop. Now what I'd like to do is to do some more with the background. So I'm going to do that with a sponge. You can see here, I'll just damp the sponge a little. And I want to keep this texture, so I don't want it too thick at the moment, but we can go over it with the sponge. I'm still going to get the texture behind and some of the drawing that I've put in it, which is kind of nice. I love that kind of creamy off-white colour, which is a little bit of yellow ochre, a tiny bit, and white. So that's what I'm mixing together to get this nice colour. So it can be let's have a bit of definition. So I'm still getting some of that. I'm going to go over it with this. Don't want to cover it totally. You see how it can slowly come together? It starts to, you know, take shape. I've got the layer of the black underneath, and that's kind of really got some interest, because I could then, if I wanted to, I'm going to take a palette knife, you know, I can scrape into this a little, again get some texture. See how it can come through. you know, don't be afraid. You can always paint over it. You know, it's only paint at the end of the day. So you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. And it's a process of experimentation. If you don't experiment, you won't know. So it's obvious, really, to not think about producing, you know, a masterpiece. Think about exploring the possibilities of discovering what happens when you do, you know, these certain things. Because something will happen, and you have to kind of have faith in yourself that what is going to happen is going to be, you know, going to be something that's going to surprise you, is interesting, and tells you something about your own creativity. And really that's very much what it's about. It's about exploring your own creativity and finding something that really surprises you. And it always does. It's always incredible how that happens. So let's come down here. So we want a few areas, when I'm looking at it now, to think that we want a few soft lines and hard lines. So if you have a look here, this is a hard line, this is a soft line, this is a hard line. I want to soften some of this up, but again, where your focal points are, you have your soft and your hard lines, but also your contrast. This is very contrasting to that, although it's only our first layer. But it's beginning, something's beginning to come together, which is great. So I'm going to now just continue now to add some of the layers and see where it takes us. So the building of the layers is such a great part of the painting when you first start, because you can really just let go and explore the possibilities and the colours, you know, because as it goes, more and more ideas, you know, come into your mind, and it can change. And as you might have seen, if you've seen many of my videos, they can change drastically. But it's always the starting point that is, you know, can tend to be the challenge, and getting going and deciding, you know, on what colours you want to use and where to start. With what I've done with this, it's helpful because it immediately gives you some prompt and some direction, and then it can take you into all kinds of, you know, different possibilities. And as you'll see as we go, this does change quite dramatically with the colours. But, you know, it's a wonderful way to begin. And this is the fantastic thing about acrylics, and, you know, what you can do and how you can really, you know, express yourself how you want to. So, you know, when you're doing this yourself, don't be afraid to really kind of go for it to get started. You've got absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain. And it's such good fun. I mean, that's why we paint, isn't it? So the real thing is to totally enjoy yourself and play, experiment, and see what happens. Okay, so now we've got the beginning of this painting. We've got the first layers down. So now we want to sort of start adding some more interest, perhaps a little bit more colour, and see where it goes. Now, it's interesting because, you know, when you get to this stage, sometimes there can be a tendency to panic a little and say, you know, what do I do now? So again, you want to feel as if you get in the flow of it and, you know, let the thing speak to you. What do you feel about where it wants to go to? And I've left it to dry. I've come back, so I'm looking at it now with fresh eyes, and I can see that I want to change some of the colour. I want to add some colour and make it you know, a more interesting painting than it is now. So I'm going to kind of crack on and you know, see where now it might take me. It's kind of interesting because, you know, there's a sort of, you can go through this stage of you don't want to spoil things. And, you know, what do you do not to do that? Well, we're not here to kind of say you should go over it all. You know, what do you like? What don't you like? And keep the things that you feel, you know, that you feel nice about and that you feel it's pleasing. I like the composition. I'm not sure of the colour. I don't know whether I like this grey. So I'm going to change this. I want to add a little bit more colour here. I feel as if it could do with something extra around these focal points. So let's see. I'm going to, I think, start with over here and change this colour slightly. I put some teal out on my palette, and I feel that that would be a nice place to start. So I'm going to add a little bit of the teal and a tiny bit of the blue. I want to keep that blue. So I'm going to come in here with this and, you know, maybe sort of alter the colour as I go. Maybe that it's not just one block of colour. So let's see. That's kind of like my feeling, and then I'm going to see where that takes me. So, you know, obviously that's going to lift it quite a lot more. So I might go into adding a little bit of yellow to it to bring a little bit of green into it, which wasn't the colour that I was thinking of initially, but I think that would be kind of quite a nice transition of colour, as you can see here. So it adds, again, more interest, and we can kind of play around with that a little, add a little bit more white to it, for example, here. So we're kind of going with the flow of how this painting, you know, wants to speak to me as a picture. So, you know, when you're doing this yourself, allow yourself to explore the possibilities. You know, that's kind of like the way that you want to feel about it. You know, already it's kind of taking on a bit of a difference and interest. So, you know, you might start off with an idea, but as you're going, it changes, which is absolutely fine, and that's how it should be. You know, whatever we're going to do, it's going to be kind of unexpected because we're working from our feeling state, we're working from our intuition, and we want to allow that to develop itself. And I think that's one of the most important things about our painting, to allow our feelings to express themselves and not to be thinking about it too much. See, already that's taken on a different feel altogether. Now, because I've got this going here, I feel as if I could put something across here to balance it up. Slightly different tone and different feel over that side, but you can see suddenly it sort of starts balancing and something else happens. I'm going to take this line here, soften it a little bit. So it becomes more developed as you go and as you feel your way into it. So I feel kind of happier about that. Now then, I'm going to have a look at here. This is an area I feel I'd like to develop a little bit. So I'm taking a flatter brush here, and I'm going to go back into the orange, and I want to do something else here. And maybe another one. So again, you know, we've got our focal point here, that's highlighting that slightly. And as if you remember from last time, you know, we can finish details off with the with the crayon, so slightly different in tone. And then I'm going to come over here with the orange. Want to do something a little bit different over here, not to have the same shape. So the shape is slightly different. And as you go, this is what will happen, and which is fantastic. That's what we want, and it makes it very exciting when you're working in this way. So I'm going to add now a little bit of orange to the cream mix, and I'm going to add that down here so it changes it again and it adds a little bit of extra balance. And I think you'll find this as you go, you know, things will come into your mind. Okay, let's try this, and until you get to the point where you say, oh wow, I'm really happy with that. And so you can see that that's really what I'm doing at the moment, is adding some extra interest. I don't want it too busy. I want to keep the spaces, so we've got rest spaces, but I want to have you know, a nice balance with the picture. So I'm just going to carry on. I'll speed it up a little bit, and then you can see how it's going to unfold. So I've speeded this up a little bit now, so you know, we're not here all day. And I just want to sort of take the opportunity now to tell you about a couple of things. First of all, I have a fabulous free abstract mini course, which is 4 lessons to really help you get started on your painting, how to start painting, a little bit about composition and about color mixing, which you might find very helpful. And then also, because I'm doing this, you know, these 2 little videos on composition, I've done a free fact sheet on 10 simple facts about design, values and composition. So I'm going to put those 2 links in the description. They're both free, so you can get your hands on them and have a look. You'll hopefully find them both helpful. Particularly, say, you know, in relationship to the composition, you know, to give you a guideline so you've got something to help you as you go with your paintings. So those will be in the descriptions. Now, also, you know, if you've got any questions, if you'd like to ask me anything, please feel free to put something in the comments. I love having comments and, you know, answering your questions and getting a dialogue going. So, you know, I'm here to help you and to help you progress with your painting. And, you know, sometimes you can get stuck and you feel, oh gosh, what do I do now? So do ask me. I'm quite happy to answer. Now you can see here what I'm doing with the kitchen roll. You know, putting some paint on, taking some off, and then putting it back in a different area in the painting just for some contrast in some texture. And that can really, you can really get some great effects by doing that. Now, you know, if you did see the last video, you know, we started that with some collage, and that kind of was our prompt to begin with, really. So this painting is without collage, but that's not to say that you know, you can't add collage if you want to, if you feel that that would be, you know, a nice idea and that you would get some extra texture and extra interest by using collage. That's a, you know, great way to go. So again, I'm doing something else with this block and adding a little bit of brighter paint, balancing it up with that here in the in the focal point there and putting it a little bit over to the left hand side and a little bit at the top. This is all about, you know, harmonizing and balancing your painting. And you know, sometimes you can forget to do that, but it helps the painting have some continuity and extra interest, so your eye can travel around, you know, the picture, and you know, it has a nice balance going on in it. So again, another thing to be thinking about. And with the fact sheet, you know, you can go through that and say, have I done this? Have I done that? Is that working? Have I got this in the right place? Where is my eye going? It gives you literally that guide to help you at each stage of the painting. You know, are my shapes different? Are my tone values different? Have I got some nice contrasts? How are my complementary colors? You know, there's quite a lot to be thinking about, although you're still sort of staying in the zone of the painting and how you're feeling about it. And, you know, it's combining all these things, which, you know, take some time to learn and to process, so it comes naturally. And we talked about that a little bit earlier on. You want to be practicing it so much that those things just come naturally. Have the prompts, you know, have the guidelines to begin with, so you're observing each one, and then the more you do it, the more that will just develop more and more in your painting. And then, you know, you have real confidence to be expressing yourself in every way that you want to with your painting. So we're making good progress here, and nearly on the finishing stages. So I hope you're enjoying it. So I left this for a little while, had a bit of a break, came back, and then thought, I want to do something else with it now. So I've got this little silicone brush that I love using. As you would see, I went over it and the paint still wasn't dry, so I had to blot it out, which is fine. And, you know, you make a few little things, you can always paint over it. But the silicone brush is really nice. I've got 3 of these. They're easily available on Amazon. And I've sort of felt it needed some more depth with some of the white. So that's what I'm filling in now. Just changing, you know, little areas of it to really bring it together. And this is what you find once you've really got, you know, a good foundation and it's coming together. You know, certain things will jump out at you and say, this needs this needs that. And you want to keep, you know, really looking. And the way to do that is to, you know, walk away from it for a little while, come back with fresh eyes, because, you know, if you're on top of it all the time, sometimes it's quite difficult to see. And what I do is I put it up on an easel, stand back, because it's very different when it's on an easel to when it's flat. You see it differently, and then you can turn it upside down. And, you know, when you've got the composition, actually, in many respects, the composition can work whichever way around you put the painting. So it could be that you'll do the painting in one way, and then you put it up and you think, turn it round, you think, oh, actually, you know what? I prefer it that way round. So you never know. But, you know, keep kind of an open mind as to the direction that you feel you want to go in. What's it telling you? You know, I sort of felt about this. It needed something different here at the top. I didn't like the shape being the same as the other. So I'm blotting this out a bit, getting a little bit of extra texture again, putting it back in with some texture, all for interest's sake. Whether it stays there or not is another matter, but going with the flow, you will, you know, be able to pick up on all these different things that will arrive in your mind. It's very difficult to express how it works because it's so intuitive. You can't think it through in a linear way because it just comes into your mind. Let me do this, let me do that. What would happen if I do this, this, and this? So when I'm trying to explain it, it's kind of quite funny, but you'll, when you're in it, and I'm sure, and if you've been painting for a while, you'll get that feeling. So I've added some yellow into the mix here, and I thought it would be interesting to put another, if you like, another focal point in here in the yellow. A little bit down the side, again, creating some balance so the eye can go around the painting. You're not just going to one space. There's interest helping you guide yourself around the picture. So I'm just again adding a little bit of the yellow here, and all these finishing touches, slowly but surely bring the painting together and make it as great as you want it to be. So I've finished the painting and I've let it dry. So now I want to just do some extra touches. I've got a various amount of crayons and markers, which I've got here. So I'm just going to go over a few little areas to finish it off. So I'm going to start with, I think I'm going to start with some of the orange. Just adding a few little extra pieces just to give it that extra little spurt. So you can see I'm just adding a tiny little bit, add a little bit of extra colour and some of the edges. So it does make a bit of a difference. Smudge it in a bit. Doing some of these extra bits really can lift various little bits of the painting and add a little bit of extra finesse. So I've got a bit of yellow here. I want to put a little bit more in here. Just sharpen up this edge a little. It's kind of fun doing this bit at the end. I like this. So just while you're watching me do all these little bits, let's just do a quick recap of what are the principles of the composition. First of all, look at your rule of thirds, dividing your painting so you've got, where they are. Look at your contrasts and your interest points, and where your focal points are going to be. Balance up with your painting, with your paints, the colours, so you've got a nice balance of the paintings. And look at your values, lights and darks, and your colour harmony. Now, one of the things that I haven't talked about drawing this is, the colour harmony is when you're using your palette. You could see with the blues and the greens how I mixed in some of the colours together so they all blend in together. You haven't got something that's really out of it. Just looking at the painting here, I'm adding in a few lines with the Stabilo crayon. And as you will know from last time, you can go over it a little bit with a baby wipe to blend it. I'm putting in a bit of a half circle here, and again that's bringing you back into the painting. So all these finishing touches help you when you're looking at your lines. Where is your eye going? See if you can be objective and watch where your eye goes in a painting. Where is it landing? You've got your busy places where it's all going on, and then you've got those quiet spaces where you can just rest. So now I'm using a nice thin nibbed pen. Having a few problems with the ink flowing on it, but again, this is helping to increase some of the edges, do a bit more interest, not all over it, just in some little areas. I've got to dip the pen into this bit of ink that I've got at the side because the pen wasn't working terribly well. I don't know why. It's dried up a little bit, I think. So you can see I'm just adding some little things that you probably, wouldn't necessarily notice, but because they're there, your eye follows it. And it's all these little things that you can finish with that can make a difference to a painting. Turning it around, having a look, how it looks at, different places, putting some of these lines in, putting a little bit of orange down the side here. That's just highlighting the green and, not quite complementary, but nearly. And again, using some of the white to enhance, adding some of the orange. So, you can see all these little bits and pieces can make a massive difference to how the painting is finished. So, you can spend as much time on this as you like. Go away, come back again, look at it, see, have a look. Where are you looking? Is your eye following through? Just writing a little bit again on top with the black, coming back with some blue. So all these little bits and pieces can really help you enhance your picture and make a massive difference to your finished result. So if you've got any questions, do put them in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, like the video and subscribe for more tutorials. And I will look forward to seeing you next time. Happy painting. Take care. Bye for now.